Welcome to the Joy in Purpose podcast. I'm Lola, a doctor of psychology with postdoctoral training in neuropsychology. Joy in Purpose is a platform for meaningful conversations about purpose, career development, and mental health. I also sit down with inspiring guests who share their unique purpose story. Just a quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for therapy. It's for educational purposes only. Thank you for joining me, and let's dive in. Today's podcast episode will be more of like an essay style because I wrote down in great detail my thoughts on this topic, which is choosing peace, the power of boundaries. This is something that I'm learning more about and I'm growing in. And I would just like for us to have a conversation about it. So like I said, it's more of an essay style. So just listen and I'll share more. I'll probably take a break in between the essay as I'm reading through the essay to just kind of also share more thoughts about this particular topic. Choosing peace, the power of boundaries. I've come to see that boundaries are one of the most challenging yet rewarding lessons in life. Choosing boundaries is, in a way, choosing peace. For a long time, I thought that if I could see the good in someone, if I saw their potential or their greatness, then that meant I should align myself with them. Of course, it's not everyone that I felt like, that I had great potential, I will align myself with them. But sometimes I guess I will equate the fact that, oh my goodness, I see the potential in this person as the fact that they were good for me, that they were good for us. It was good for us to be friends. So yeah. But I learned that not everyone I admired was necessarily good for me. Even though I could pour into others, supporting and encouraging them, it didn't always mean they'd reciprocate or cheer me on. Of course, we don't uplift others just to get something back, but it can still be disappointing to give so much encouragement only to find they're not supportive of our own efforts. Or worse, they actually discourage our dreams, goals, visions, anything that we share that is good or that we believe is exciting, they just overly criticize it. That can be very discouraging. I've also realized the importance of not putting people on pedestals, even when they seem spiritually grounded. Basically, don't judge someone solely by how they pray or teach the word of God. Their character and how they treat you personally should really matter, should be something that you also consider in the way that you choose to interact with them, share information with them. And I will dive more into this. I learned sometimes the hard way that even those with deep spiritual practices can bring a level of toxicity to friendships. While kindness and patience are fruits of the Spirit, not everyone embodies them in their interactions. These lessons guided me to choose boundaries and ultimately to choose peace. Now, I focus on discernment rather than simply seeing the good in someone. I pray, quiet my spirit, and listen closely for what the Spirit is saying, for how God is leading me, and whether or not and how I should proceed with relationship with that individual. Here's how I set and live my boundaries and live by my boundaries. You can implement these boundaries at work and with friends. So keep in mind that Joy in Purpose platform is about having a healthy conversations about how to live a meaningful life as it relates to our overall purpose in life as Christians, how to live a meaningful life as it relates to our careers and things like that. So these are boundaries that you can implement in different aspects of your life. 1, define your non-negotiables. And these are from my own experience, but I believe that you can find them to be very beneficial as well. Define your non-negotiables. One, I surround myself with people who are kind and see the good in others. I value encouragement and avoid environments where gossip or malice are present. No matter how spiritual someone seems, if they aren't kind, I limit my time with them. I value people who treat others with dignity, whether they are around or not. As a person, I give room, I give space for like someone wants to vent, someone wants to, maybe they're going through a issue with another individual. I consider myself, and I don't use this in a trendy way, a safe space for someone to share, and whether they're seeking advice or just to talk things through. I understand that that's different from gossip and malice. And that's also where discernment comes in. So there's room for that with me, as I relate with other people. But then, after some time, especially with the gift of discernment, when someone is just overly critical and just gossiping about someone, and when they just wish other people ill. So I want to be around people who are kind and see the good in others, people that are working towards that. Those are the kind of people I want to surround myself with. So if you don't fall in that category, I limit my time with individuals that are not like that. Two, so the first one is define your non-negotiables. Basically, define what you value. So because when we put people on a pedestal because of the way they preach, or any whatever reason, because they're famous, because they're wealthy, because they went to a really good school, sometimes we can miss looking at the character, which really, really, really matters. So the second one is communicate directly but kindly. As you can tell, being kind is one of my values. So boundaries don't have to be confrontational. I try to express them calmly but in a kind way. So I can say so many examples here, but I think you get my point. I can say no in a kind way. I can say not right now in a kind way. I can just to give me some time to think about that decision that I want to make in a kind way. Most of the time, there's no need to be confrontational. There are times, and just because you're not a confrontational person doesn't mean that you don't have it in you to be more. And there's a difference between being aggressive or being assertive. So, of course, definitely be assertive, but there's a difference. So, for me, I really try to lead with kindness, because even when I look back, it would be hard for me to regret it. I might feel sad and disappointed in the way that the other person reacted, but leading with kindness, I can look back and say I tried my best. I gave it my best. That interaction, that friendship, I gave it my best. The third one is I limit access to my personal life. So to sharing personal information about myself and about my personal life. Not everyone needs to know everything. I keep certain parts of my life private, especially around those who might not respect that privacy. I share slowly and carefully because trust takes time. I'm the kind of person, when I share, I will share, and I'll share in detail. But I have come to learn, and I am learning that I I need to take my time, and I'm not an oversharer to begin with, but there are times when, because you just see someone as being spiritual, or I see that, oh my goodness, we align, but then I might think that we align, but you also have to think that we align as well, because that means you will also have my best interest at heart. So there are times where I've put myself in a situation where I overshared. Nothing that I regret, but there was just no need for them to know that much about me, or know that much about my plans and my future goals. So I limited, and time is a revealer. Time and being intentional would tell people's true motives. So I'm intentional about the question that I ask, just to make sure I'm getting to know the person, just taking time just to see. So, and sometimes it's okay to share, but share something that you're okay with. If they were someone that will go on social media the next day to share with everybody, that maybe that's not something I want. the whole world to know, but it's okay. So share something like that. And if I see that they're not protective of that, then I just know not to share again. So I'm protective of what I share. As much as I enjoy sharing, because I think we can learn I have a podcast. As much as we can learn from one another, it's important to also limit and don't feel ashamed about that. Someone that truly wants to get to know you will enjoy that time and that process, and then they will appreciate the vulnerability. And the other person too is probably taking time as well, because they also want to get to know you. There's something about being like overly too mindful and being overly too cautious. Absolutely. This is where discernment comes into play. The first one, I kind of alluded to it with the other point, is to recognize when to say no. There are times when some things you need to preserve your energy. Some things you just don't want to do it. It is okay to say no. People will respect boundaries. Some will respect you, might share their disappointment because you're not going to be involved, but they will respect you as a person, as an individual, with a free will to say yes or to say no. Protect your emotional space. I set limits on conversations that are emotionally draining. If someone brings constant negativity, I gently redirect the conversation or excuse myself when I need to. It's essential for protecting my peace. This is the last one that I'm sharing for today. Stay consistent. Boundaries work only if I uphold them, even when it is tough. When it is tough for me to say no because maybe you're a people pleaser and you just really want to please that person. When I say no, I'm empowered, and I'm able to recall other times when I have also stuck to my boundaries. But if you say yes when you mean to say no, or vice versa, that's okay as well. It's empowering to uphold your boundaries. Boundaries is also saying yes when you want to say yes. Consistency shows others that my boundaries matter, reinforcing respect in my relationships. In the end, boundaries aren't selfish. They're essential for healthy, balanced relationships, and it's a popular trendy thing to say now, and for self-care as well. I want to make sure that I share this. Boundaries are meant to change. They're meant to be flexible. So maybe someone that was a gossiper 3 years ago, maybe they're no longer a gossiper. Maybe they're now truly a safe space. I know that's another buzz, trendy word. So people change. People can change. And boundaries can be flexible. Someone that I didn't feel comfortable sharing something about my personal life last week. Not last week, but like maybe a few months ago, maybe a year ago, they might have changed. And they might not become a safe space, a safe person that I can share my struggles with, or even and my victories as well. So boundaries are meant to be revisited with maybe each person. And so you can definitely, change the boundaries that you have with particular individuals and things like that. Boundaries are meant to be flexible. Boundaries can be changed. That's where I want to end for today, as it relates to choosing boundaries really means you're choosing a life of peace. I hope you really enjoyed that topic. If you have any questions or concern, you can find me on social media. I'll put the link in the show notes so that you can get access to the Joy in Purpose podcast. It's really difficult to say goodbye because I still want to talk. I still want to chat. But like I said, if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to me on my social media platform, which I'll provide a link in the show notes. Thank you so much once again for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and family who might benefit from this, from listening to this episode as well. Remember that you are valuable and there's purpose within you. Don't forget to rate and review the Joy in Purpose podcast on your favorite platform. It really helps us to grow. I'm wishing you a wonderful day. Take care. Peace.